So now I'm just going to go through my piece that I've written so far, just showing you where all of the different elements have come from. You'll find out that nearly everything that's in this song is a hidden message or something like that. And starting right off with the bass line that you hear at the start. Here it is. This is what it sounds like. So that's I quite like that. It's dark and a little bit evil, and I liked it a lot. So let's have a look at where that came from. So if you have a look at over here, I've written in a grid. This is the same grid that you're working with over here. And what I did was, remember I talked about centering numbers that you know are going to come up on a particular pitch, so that you get the idea of a pitch center or tonal center or tonic. And so I've gone for this note here, which is corresponds with the letter H on your GarageBand keyboard. And have a look at the videos later on if you're wondering how to find the GarageBand keyboard. But it's actually an A. If you know how to play the piano, you'd know that that's the note A. And so I've put the number 0 on there because in this particular case, and now you all know exactly how ancient I am, I put my birth date 03071974. Sorry, I put it the US way around here. I normally put it the British way around, which is to have the 7 first. So if you see the 0 here in the chart, and then you look at that note that is there, it's the A. And if we find that note over here again, there's the 0, there's the A, the very first note in the bass line, and I've made it nice and low down on the keyboard, C1, C2, they're low octaves. So there's the A, and each one of these is going for a quaver, and then I said that it's 0307. Oh, look, I actually did it the British way around in here. That's hilarious. So there you go. 07, because we say the 7th of March. Then 0 again, 3, so that's that pitch. And then 1, 9, 7, 4. This one here lines all the way up with the 4 there. So now I've got that repeating pattern. And the good thing about that is that that's just the right numbers, 8 numbers, so that if each one of those is a quaver, it exactly, that gives me 8 quavers, which exactly fits in a bar. Some of you may call quavers 8th notes. So let's just have a quick listen to that again. That is my birth date. Right, so coming up in here now is another bass line. That one is just like a thundering sound there, like that, which is just rumbling down on a low pitch. Have a listen again. Now, if you're particularly smart, or if you can remember the lesson that I gave, you might recognise that that is actually sounding a little bit like a repeating note on a rhythmic pattern on a repeating note. And if you thought that, then you would be absolutely right. Let me just open up that audio file on its own. Here we go. And you can see it says Born Greenwich, London. Have a listen to this. So that is the audio file for the message Born Greenwich, London. So again, go back to my GarageBand and you can see that it starts off with my birth date and then where I was born, Greenwich in London. But there's a big difference, isn't there, between this sound and this one. And the difference, of course, is one of pitch. So what I want to do is I want to take that sound and open it in another program, and you can probably guess the program that I changed the sound in. It's our old friend Audacity, although you can actually do a lot of this pitch change in GarageBand itself. If I go back to GarageBand, and there's Audacity's up for me now. If I just go back to GarageBand for a second and double click on the sound, you'll see here that we do have a pitch controller in GarageBand, but it won't transpose it by as many octaves as I want it to. It'll only go up to, I think, 2 octaves in GarageBand, and I wanted to go down 3 octaves. So what I did was I simply dragged that sound into Audacity. Just ignore that particular message there. and you can hear it's still high. Select it all and go Effect and change Pitch. Now I know that there are 12 semitones or half steps in an octave, and I wanted to go down 3 octaves. So if I need to go semitones change and minus 36, so that's minus 12 times 3. Okay, and it makes the change, and now it sounds like this. That's pretty cool, hey? And so that's where my bass line, my second bass line in the song comes from. I didn't mention the other thing that happens here at the start, which is this techno kick going doof, 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 and there's actually nothing, no kit in that. It's really just spelling out the beat and making it sound like electronic music. Let's have another listen to those 2 bits. So that's my birth date, and I hear where I was born. Now we've got some funny stuff coming up. There's a sound effect in here, and then like a melodic line here. Another weird sound effect. And a repeat of this sound effect from earlier. Okay, so let's look at a few of these different things here. The sound that's going on, this particular sound effect, I reckon if I solo it, you'll be able to tell exactly what it is, because we listened to stuff like this before. You might be guessing. It's a spoken voice, and what's happened to that spoken voice is that it's actually been reversed, it's been turned backwards. And of course that's something that we saw could be done here in Audacity, but what is the message? Well, as well as writing about myself, telling a bit of a story about myself in my piece through code, I also wanted to make a connection to ISB because that's where I was coming to do this. So if I just go now over to the ISB YouTube page, we can see here one of the speeches from the ISB Memory Wall opening ceremony with this beautiful closing phrase that I really liked.
From my opinion, there are many great things about ISB. The students, the teachers, facilities. But now, to me, our school finally has a heart. Thank you.
Okay, so I thought that was a beautiful bit of a speech. So what I would do is that I would take that, and you can guess it. I had turned it backwards. So again, if I just grab this little bit of audio, this is what you hear in the piece of music. Here we go. But if I were to turn that backwards, in other words, I'd be turning it the right way around. Where's the reverse option? There we go.
From my opinion, there are many great things about ISB.
You can see that it's that little bit of the speech. So in fact, it's a message about the school in there. What else did we have in that little bit? We had this part here, which is actually my name, the melody. So that is James Humberstone, and if I go back over, this is in your booklet, so if I just go and find the booklet, here we go. I think it's this slide here. Yeah, so you can see it says James Humberstone becomes, and there is the way that I arranged my letters, and it's also here. So I put A, E, I, O below the A. Again, I was trying to make this particular note be my tonic, my note that sounded the most, and you can see indeed it does sound a lot, especially at the start and the end, for the A and the E in James, and the O and the E at the end of Humberstone. So this actually shows you here down the side the pitches that align with James Humberstone, and the rhythms, by the way, were just randomly chosen. I just made notes longer and shorter until I liked them. We're going to look at doing that in GarageBand in one of the upcoming videos. So the last thing that I want to show you, actually, and I've got two more things I need to show you. This airship sound, these chords that come in at this point, they are made by stacking notes together on top of one another. That's a fairly simple process, and it's explained. There it is. It's explained in the booklet. Stacking notes on top of each other to make chords. But that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this bit here, or possibly, where's the other one? This one here, down here. These sound effects, and also this snare drum. So I think I'll go to the sound effects first. Have a listen to this funny sound effect that comes in just here. Now, those of you who did the lessons with me while I was there will remember very clearly that we used a program to do this next bit called Photo Sounder, and unfortunately this is a paid program, so if anybody needs to use this particular thing, then you will need to send me your photos, probably via your blend space to convert, but some of you did that while I was there. So what I can do now is that I can go and show you the sounds that I used. The first weird one that you heard was a sound, if I can find it, here. And if I import that particular sound, this is now importing the sound that you just heard in the piece of music, you can see that it has encoded into that sound an image. And in fact, the image is the ISB school logo. So let's have a listen to that sound again. So that actual sound is encoded as an image inside the song down here. I've also made it go from left to right. And the other image there was a photo of myself, which I won't show you now because this video is getting too long. The last thing that I do want to show you though is this snare drum down here, and this brings us back to Morse code. So far we've just had a duff duff beat up here in the bass drum, and it's only at this point that we get this snare drum. Let's just listen to when it comes in because it's quite exciting. Okay, so where does the snare drum come from? Well, if we listen to it on your own, you may or may not guess that again it relates to Morse code. So what I did in this particular case, if I go back to the booklet, this is written in the booklet, is that I used a name of another composer who I very much admire and who has inspired a lot of my music. His surname is Skempton, and so I took then anywhere that I had a letter, these became short notes or quavers or eighth notes if you prefer, and also I made them staccato so they'd sound very short, and then the long bits, the dashes, became tenuto crotchets or quarter notes. So that gave me this set of notes, and I also put in a rest, a quaver rest or an eighth note rest between each letter. So we have the 3 dots there for S, then a rest which is the space between S and the next letter, which is K, and that's the rhythm for K, so on and so forth. So in fact, in my GarageBand arrangement, I've got the Morse code literally as an audio file that I've put down into the bass, but I've also got Morse code as a rhythm written out for snare drum. And the last thing I need to show you is exactly where I got that original Morse code sound from. You'll remember that it sounded a bit like this when I originally downloaded it. And those who studied with me will probably remember that we got that from a really cool website which was called morsecloud.com. You can type in your message and have it saved out as a Morse code file. There we go. So I might say ISB is the best school ever. And you can see here that it's immediately written it out. I can right click on there and say save as, or I can simply just press it to hear it first. And that will then load up another page. And I'm sorry, my internet's running very slowly. The reason it's running very slowly is because I'm currently uploading things to your website for you. But anyway, you can use morsecloud.com to get audio files of your Morse code and other things to put into your song for me. See how many of these same techniques you can get in there.